so that was pretty sweet, right? We finally got our own intro, as simple as it is. You know, baby steps. Maybe someday we'll be a relevant YouTube channel. But want to know what else is pretty sweet besides the whole intro thing? Wow, new layout too to match the intro, because you know, completely different color schemes and all that. But anyways, we're back. It's been a while. Thanksgiving break for those who might not have heard happened. We got kind of busy. Things happen. Can't record all the time. And I'm realized today that we haven't even covered the deck that won. I forget what it was called. Hold on. London Internationals. I forgot what that place was called. I'm terrible. I gotta close out some of these tabs. But, okay, now we're good. I'm totally unprofessional here. Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and I can't see my camera. I gotta move this. Okay. Alright, pretty sure I'm good now. Anyways, deck that won London Internationals by Tord Reklev. Reklev. I'm probably saying this completely wrong. I'm terrible with names, if you haven't noticed. Zoroark-Golisopod. Should have covered this sooner because Golisopod is one of my favorite decks. But I've heard from numerous sources that this is not a Golisopod deck. This is a Zoroark deck with Golisopod in it. And yeah, I can kind of see that. The Zoroark line is a lot heavier. There's not as many Golisopod, of course. Anyways, I'm just going to go ahead and get into this. At some point, we're also going to cover San Jose Regionals. But I've only seen one list so far. And it was Night March. I am not a good Night March player. I was going to leave that to Shane so that he can cover that. I don't know when that's going to happen. He's busy with stuff right now, which is why it's Wednesday and he's not here. He's usually on Wednesdays. So I'm here doing this. I also wasn't here Monday because, you know, the whole Thanksgiving thing. Whatever. I'm rambling. List time. You're here for a list. Of course, it's a Zoroark deck. We play 4 of the trade Zoroarks. Discard 1 card from your hand, draw 2 cards. Pretty good. The right is beating 2 energy, so a double colorless energy. I need to stand back a little bit. I'm trying standing from now on instead of sitting down. So I'm using a different camera. 20 damage for each of your Pokemon in play. So you hit 120 if you have him in the active and a full bench. If you have Choice Bane, you hit 150. Which isn't great. I guess it doesn't really one-shot many things in the format. But, I mean, you're two-shotting pretty much everything. Actually, you are two-shotting everything. And it does play a one of the stand-in Zoroark. Still a good card. It can come in pretty handy sometimes, especially since it's, you know, a one-prize attacker. If it's on the bench, you can have it become your active. If you have a float stone on there, you can immediately just retreat into something else. Basically giving everything you have free retreat. The Mind Jack ability, 2 colorless, so a double colorless energy. Does 10 plus 30 for each of your opponent's bench Pokemon. So it is a little bit of a downside because your opponent gets to control the damage that this Pokemon does. But one thing it does is that it makes them question if they want to bench something. They have to be conservative with their resources, which I guess the format you're already trying to do anyways. But they can't just like throw everything down just to have it there, you know, just in case. They have to really think, oh, do I need this right now? I don't want to save it for later. If I play this, my opponent's doing 30 more damage with this Pokemon. Could potentially knock me out. So it makes their plays a little bit more... What's the word I'm looking for? It makes it harder for them to do, kind of. Because they really have to think about it. And then, you know, for Zora, I think most people are going with the new one that just does straight damage. But I think well, I'm not going to say... yeah, he uses the new one. But I don't have any of the new ones online yet. I actually haven't taken the time to do that. Been kind of like, I don't know, I just haven't got them yet. I don't know why. But he played the new one from Crimson Invasion where it does damage. I have this one in there just because, yeah. One of Mr. Mime, because, you know, Buzzwole is getting popular. Then you already have like stuff like Tapu Koko where you're just doing 20 to everything. You got Ninetales where you put 50 on something. And that's pretty much all it's there for. The secondary attacker of the deck is Golisopod. 1 energy. When it becomes the active Pokemon during this turn, it does 120 damage. If not, it only does 30. 1 energy, 120 damage. Pretty good. You know, pretty good costed. You got its second attack, Armor Press. One moment. Excuse me. Just had lunch. 1 grass, 2 colorless energy, so grass, double colorless. 100 damage. This Pokemon takes 20 less damage from your opponent's attack during your next turn. Probably won't be using that often. We're not playing Dark Energy, right? Yeah, so his GX attack is irrelevant. So you could use a Golisopod-GX attack, which is probably the main one you're going to use. I think it's the only one you can use, now that I'm thinking about it. 2 grass, 1 grass, 2 colorless, so 2 energy. 150 damage, and you switch this Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon. With a Choice Band, you're hitting 180, which knocks out a lot of the basic stuff. Does pretty good damage, just in general, 150 or 180. It's a lot of damage. And then you get it out of the active, because you're not really doing anything anymore. You can Armor Press, and that's really about it. And it's got a pretty hefty retreat cost. 3 retreat. This is relevant. You want the Wimp Out Wimpod, just so that if it's in the active first turn, you can just retreat it for free. 1 Tapu Koko, just spread around damage. Potentially set up some easy 1-hits later on. You hit Flying Flip a couple times to put them down like 40 damage. And then you can come in with Choice Bands and stuff and, start taking some pretty easy knockouts. It does play one of the Mewtwo from Evolutions, I think this set is called. I don't know, I remember this set being pretty irrelevant. Sounds like Evolutions. 1, basically a double colorless energy. Does 20 damage plus the amount of... Hold on a minute. 20 damage plus 20 more for each energy on your opponent's active Pokemon. This could be good for like the heavier energy attack. Am I saying the heavier things that require a lot of energy? Volcanion, Gardevoir, if they had to start stacking them energy, which they will, most likely, because you're only attacking with 1 or 2 energy. This also helps against like psychic weak decks. Like this could come in, potentially do some damage to Zoroark, or Gardevoir won't really do anything against because you're doing 40, 80, big whoop. But if they stack some energy on Buzzwole, God, jeez, it's been a while. If they stack energy on Buzzwole to do the Knuckle Impact 3 energy, that'll do 80, 160. You attach Choice Band, it's knockout because it'll do 80, 110, yeah, 220. So it's good there. So like fighting weak decks that attach like a decent amount of energy, and then stuff like Volcanion that'll do 80 damage to 110. It'll 2-shot. It's mostly just a decent 1-prize attacker. That's the main thing. It's like it's only 1 prize. So you bring it in, deal some heavy damage stuff, and if they knock it out, they only get 1 prize for it. And then they still have to knock out 3 more GXs. The last Pokemon of the deck, of course, is 3 Lele. Yeah, it is 3. Lele, just in general, a good card. Put in play, grab a Supporter. Energy Drive, 2 colorless, 20 for each energy. Jeez, it's been a long time since I've done this. Getting ahead of myself. So, and then we'll go ahead and go on to the Supporters. 3 Acerola, because, we're relatively bulky. So whenever our opponent hits us but doesn't knock us out, we can just Acerola, pick our stuff back up, and be good to go. Deny our opponent some prizes. Another thing about the deck is, what was I about to say? Oh, that was what I was about to say. Because we play Zoroark, we don't need to rely on our draw supporters as much. So it allows us to play like more utility supporters. That's one of the reasons why there's 3 Acerolas in here. Another thing Zoroark allows us to do is play 3 Bridgette. Basically guarantees that we'll get it turn 1. Well, I won't say basically guarantees. A good amount of the time you'll get a turn 1 without having to play a Lele to go search for it. And then when you draw it later on, you just discard it with your Zoroark-GX, draw 2 cards, and playing all these extra Bridgettes doesn't end up hurting you in the end. It's pretty sweet. It really blew my mind when I saw that on stream. And once I heard them talking about it, I was like, holy crap. I can get Bridgette almost every turn and then just discard it later when I don't need it. Ah. For Gasma, because this is just a really good card. I mean, this is just one of those staple cards that you play like almost no matter what. We do play. He did play one Malo, which is also like really good because of Zoroark. Because you just take any 2 cards you want, put them on top of your deck, and then you immediately just use your trade ability to discard a card and draw the 2 cards you just put on top of your deck. So it's essentially just becomes like a teammate you can play no matter when. You just have to discard a card for Zoroark, which isn't even a big deal. You know, searching any 2 cards, yeah, I'll take that. 4N, because the wrong button. Because this is still a good card. This is another one of those staple cards that you'll play in basically every deck. Either refreshes your hand without discarding key cards, or puts your opponent down to like a low hand size if they are taking prizes really fast. Faster than you are. So it can really set them back. Especially when like they're getting like close to game and like their board isn't like really established. So you can just put them down on like 2 cards and they can't do anything and you just take over from there. That's why some people really hate N. And then only 2 Sycamore, which does make sense because you have the trade ability when you really need to draw cards, so you can just use that. You don't really need this as much. I don't know, you can just use it in the early game when you need to set up. I don't know, I actually haven't played this deck yet. I mean, I've played like a similar version of it when Zoroark first came out and I was trying this out, but I haven't played with like this exact list yet. So I imagine you wouldn't need Sycamore that much. So, I mean, in theory, this sounds pretty good. Some of the other trainers we play, 2 Choice Band, because Choice Band is just a really good card. 30 more damage when you're attacking EXs or GXs. 4 Ultra Ball, because again, this is just a really good card. 4 Puzzle Time, which I saw a lot of decks doing at the event, and I think is pretty sweet. It really helps out with the Zoroark decks because you can either use this first ability, look at your top 3, rearrange them in any way you want to, and then just immediately draw them if you want to. Or you can use it later on when you have 2 of them, and just grab any 2 cards in your discard that you want, put them back in your hand. It's almost kind of like we have versus Seeker, except you need 2 of them at the same time, and they can grab anything. Kind of get what I'm saying here? This is like pretty good. Again, I haven't actually used Puzzle yet like this. I've only used it in like random decks like Monkeys and Gyarados. But seems pretty good here. Especially like since you can like really use this well with Zoroark. 4 Field Blower, which makes sense. Because Gardevoir shuts you down from being able to use your trade. If they're doing Buzzwole Gardevoir, I can never think of the word Buzzwole right now. I don't know why. Their Gardevoir will shut off your bench barrier, allowing Buzzwole to do extra damage. So you want to keep your abilities in play with this deck. One of my favorite cards, 2 Enhanced Hammer. I just discard a special energy on your opponent's Pokemon. There's a pretty decent amount of special energy running around right now. You got Buzzwole playing Strong Energy, Gardevoir playing a lot of decks playing DCE actually. I don't know why I'm saying just Gardevoir. Mostly there's just a lot of DCE running around, and then like the Strong Energy. Nothing immediately coming to my head right now. What is it? Do we have Rainbow and Standard? I know we have one of those. That counts as like anything. If they're playing that, I can't remember which one it is at the moment. I think it's Rainbow. You can discard that if they're playing that. I believe that was all the trainers. Yep, that's all the trainers. And then you got your 3 Grass Energy for Golisopod, and your 4 Double Colorless for your Zoroark, your Coco, your Mewtwo, everything else. But that'll be all for the deck profile. I'm going to go ahead and play some games with it and try to get this video up. So I will see y'all there. It'll be linked down below. Don't forget about that. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, stay jolly.